I came today not to tell you anything new. I don't have any new news to tell you. I don't have anything that's been just mind-blowing to tell you. I just came to give you a reminder. And I feel that a good reminder is always good to hear. Someone's telling me I have $100 for you. I can hear that all day long, all night long, because it's good news. So my thoughts today, what I came to tell you is that God is our refuge and strength, a very present help in trouble.
All right.
And that comes from Psalms 46:1. Now God is our refuge and our strength, a very present help in trouble. And that sounds good to hear. It gives us comfort. It makes us know that no matter what task that lay before us, God is there. It's a scripture of comfort and of reassurance. It's like Psalms 23, the Lord is my shepherd. Scriptures like those just make us feel good. It feels good to the heart to hear. It feels good to the ears. It just makes us feel good to know that God is always, always there. So I started to think about the various scriptures that specifically reflected when God was a very present help in a time of trouble. And the story of Daniel and the story of Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego came to mind. So we're going to be coming from, kind of skipping over Daniel, but we're going to start in the second chapter, third chapter, and we'll be kind of playing around in there. Okay? So Daniel was serving under King Nebuchadnezzar, and he earned favor with the king because he was the only person that was able to interpret the king's dreams. Nebuchadnezzar had a dream. In fact, it was a nightmare. His heart was troubled and he could no longer sleep. So he gave the command to call all the musicians, call all the astrologers, call all the sorcerers, call all the Chaldeans. Now, when we're in trouble, we don't have any problems looking around for help. But we have to know that we know where our true help comes from. And when Nebuchadnezzar was speaking with the Chaldeans, and he told them that he could not remember the dream, but he wanted them to remind him of the dream and to interpret it. The deal that the king offered them was, tell me the dream and the interpretation, and I will give you gifts, I'll give you rewards, I'll give you great honor. But then, if you can't tell me what the dream was and what it means, then it will be cut into pieces, and their houses shall be made a dunghill. So it's either you do it right, or you're going to die. And the Chaldeans said in Daniel, the second chapter, and at the 10th verse, answered before the king and said, there is not a man upon earth that can show the king's matter. Therefore, there is no king, lord, nor ruler that asks such things of any musician or astrologer or Chaldean. And it is a rare thing that the king requires, and there is none other that can show it before the king except the gods, whose dwelling is not with flesh. For this cause the king was angry and very furious, and commanded to destroy all the wise men of Babylon. And a decree went forth, and the wise men should be slain, and they sought Daniel and his fellows to be slain. So the proclamation went forth to kill Daniel. But Daniel knew that God was his refuge and his strength, a very present help in the time of trouble. God had given Daniel understanding of all visions and dreams, and he was able to interpret the king's dream, and the king was so pleased that if we go down to verse 46, and it states, then the king Nebuchadnezzar fell upon his face and worshipped Daniel, and commanded that they should offer an oblation and sweet odors unto him. The king answered unto Daniel and said, it is a truth, it is, that your God is a God of gods, and a Lord of kings, and a revealer of secrets, seeing thou couldst reveal this secret. Then the king made Daniel a great man, and gave him many great gifts, and made him ruler over the whole province of Babylon, and the chief of the governors over all the wise men of Babylon.
Yes.
Then Daniel requested of the king that he should set Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego over the affairs of the province of Babylon. But Daniel sat in the gate of the king. So, as I said, when we're in trouble, we have no problems looking for help, but we have to know where the help is actually coming from. I lost my spot. Hold on. So the proclamation went forth to kill Daniel, But Daniel knew that God was his refuge and his help, a very present help in a time of trouble. And God had given Daniel understanding in all vision and all dreams, and he was able to interpret the king's dreams. Okay. Through the favor of God, not only was Daniel's life spared, but he made King Nebuchadnezzar know and believe that Daniel's God is truly the God of gods. Our own faith and belief should be so strong that it compels others to just follow you and to have faith and to believe as well. And in verse 49, Daniel talked to the king about Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, and he got them a job. He got them a great job. And they were over the affairs of the province of Babylon. And they were good at their job. In fact, they were so excellent at it that they made the other leaders that weren't Nebuchadnezzar look bad. Now, Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego were going along doing what they were starting to do, and lo and behold, the green-eyed monster called jealousy shows up.
Right.
And they knew that they had to get rid of the three Hebrew boys, or their own corruption would come to light. So the story continues. Nebuchadnezzar made a golden image. He called all the big people to the dedication. He made a decree or law stating that when the trumpet sound, the flute, the harpstring, the harp, all the music, everyone was to fall down and worship the golden image. If anyone did not fall down and worship the golden image, they would be immediately thrown into the furnace. Now, the green-eyed monster knew that Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego would not worship any other God except their one true God. The devil knows that you're a child of God. You might try to hide it. You might try to run from it. You might try to deny it. But you are a child of the Most High King, and the devil knows just how to get to you. So let's go over to the 3rd chapter of Daniel. And at the 8th verse, it says, "Wherefore at that time certain Chaldeans came near and accused the Jews. They spake and said to the king Nebuchadnezzar, O king, live forever. Thou, O king, hast made a decree that every man should hear the sound of the cornet, flute, harp, sackbut, and psaltery, and dulcimer, and all kinds of music shall fall down and worship the golden image. And whosoever falleth not down and worship, that he should be cast into the midst of a burning fury furnace. There were certain Jews whom thou hast set over the affairs of the province of Babylon, Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. These men, O king, have not regarded thee. They serve not thy gods, nor worship the golden image which thou hast set up. Then Nebuchadnezzar, in his rage and fury, commanded to bring Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. Then they brought these men before the king. Nebuchadnezzar spake and said unto them, Is it true, O Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego? Do not ye serve my gods, or worship the golden image which I have set up? Now if ye be ready, and at that time ye hear the sound of the cornet, the flute, the harp, the psaltery, the psaltery, the dulcimer, and all kinds of music, ye fall down and worship the image which I have made. Well, but if ye worship not, ye shall be cast the same hour into the midst of a fiery burning furnace. And who is that God that shall deliver you out of my hand? Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego answered and said unto the king, O Nebuchadnezzar, we are not careful to answer thee in this matter. When you know God, you don't have to worry about it.
All right.
Now, Nebuchadnezzar was hot. He was livid. These three little Jewish boys just dissed him to the highest in front of all of his people. Not only did they not worship the image that he had made, but they also said that their God had more power than he, the king, has. And now you know he was upset at them. He was so mad that he commanded that the strongest soldiers to get them, tie them up, heat the furnace until it was 7 times hotter. It was so hot that the soldiers themselves were burned.
Yes.
Now, in my mind, I imagine that the first soldiers died in order to prove that the furnace was truly hot. It leaves no doubt it was hot. So they were thrown into the fire, and when Nebuchadnezzar looked in, instead of seeing 3 men burning to death, he saw 4 men walking around.
Yes.
And the form of the 4th looked like the Son of God. Now, verse 29, I read it really like it says, Therefore I make a decree that every man, every people, nation, and language which speak anything amiss against the God of Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego shall be cut into pieces, and their houses shall be made a dunghill, because there is no other God that can deliver after this sort. And hold on to that part. Because there is no other God that can deliver after this sort. Now, that happened way back there, but he's the same God that's here now.
Same God.
And I thought about it in today's time. You know, that green-eyed monster, he's still around. And I thought, let's look at a story. You go about your job at work, you do what you're supposed to do, you don't mind anybody's business but your own. You're just there to go to work, get paid, go home. Now, there is a lady, let's say her name is Susie. And Susie has been with the company for the last 14 years, doing the same thing, day in, day out. She's in charge of publishing the monthly report. And let's say it always takes 15 pieces of paper for that report to be printed. But you, minding your own business, discovered it can only be done in 6 pages. And that would save the department $10,000 a month. So your supervisor sings your praises, but Susie, she rolls her eyes. The green-eyed monster. Susie always makes the supervisor's calendar. You, in your own efficient manner, comes up with a PowerPoint presentation and spreadsheet that just makes the calendar come alive. Again, the supervisor sings your praises. Susie starts looking for a shovel to dig your ditch. That's that green-eyed monster. Now, I said we're going to be in Daniel's for a minute, so we're going to go over to the 6th chapter of Daniel. And we find King Darius. We're going to be talking about Daniel now. So we find King Darius, he is also greatly favored with Daniel. In fact, he made Daniel the first of 3 presidents that was over the 120 prince that he sat over the kingdom. The green-eyed monster once again reared his ugly head. The other presidents and princes wanted to get rid of Daniel because, again, if they didn't get rid of him, all of their little dirty deeds were going to come to light. They didn't want that to happen. So they got together and they talked and they plotted, but they knew that the only thing they could get against Daniel, they had to find some kind of fault concerning him and God, because Daniel was an upright man. They went to King Darius, they told him how great he was, they stroked his ego. They wanted to make a decree that any man that made a petition to any other god for 30 days would be thrown into the lion's den. So Darius is feeling pretty good about himself. Like I said, he was a man. They stroked his ego, they made him feel good and feel important. And so he says, okay, that sounds good. He signed the decree. Daniel knew about the law and he knew that the king had signed it. But what did Daniel do? He went home and he prayed. He sought help or refuge from his God. When you know right from wrong, just do the right thing. Don't change it because of a passing phase or fashion. If you know that you're supposed to serve God with all of your heart, and someone comes along and says, oh, you don't have to do that, all of that's not necessary, don't listen to them. If this way has gotten you this far and it's worked for you, stick with what you know.
All right. Like that.
The men assembled themselves together and found Daniel praying to his one true God. And they says, oh, we got him now. So they went back to the king and they says, Darius, King Darius, we saw Daniel, he was kneeling down, he was praying, but you know you passed that law and says nobody can do that for the next 30 days. What are you going to do about it? Now, King Darius had signed the proclamation and he had put his signet ring on it, so there's no way he could change it. Even though he knew and he loved Daniel, but he was bound by law to follow his word. So Daniel had to be thrown into the lion's den. Darius wasn't happy about it. In fact, we went home, we tried to find a way to come up with an out for him. So now Daniel was in the den, the stone sealed it, Darius placed his signet ring upon the stone. And he went home to his palace and he spent the night praying for his friend. And at verse 20, it states, and when he came to the den, he cried with a lamentable voice unto Daniel. And the king spake and said unto Daniel, O Daniel, servant of the living God, is thou God whom thou servest continually, able to deliver thee from the lions? Then Daniel said unto the king, O king, live forever. My God has sent his angel and hath shut the lion's mouth, and they have not hurt me.
All right.
For as much as before him innocency was found in me, and also before thee, O king, have I done no hurt. Then the king was exceedingly glad for him and commanded that they should take Daniel up out of the den. So Daniel was taken up out of the den, and no manner of hurt was found upon him, because he believed in his God.
Yes.
Why? Because he believed in his God.
All right. All right.
God is a very present help to Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego because they believed that God could and would deliver them in the furnace. God was a very present help to Daniel because Daniel believed in God. Today, we have the very same God. He is our refuge, our strength, a very present help in trouble if we believe.
Yeah.
And you have to believe like you know yourself. It's like, I know my name is Sandra Paulette Henry Cole Terry. I know that I'm a black female American. I know that I gave birth to 3 babies. I know those things. Now, just like I know those things, I also know that God is. And I believe that God can and will deliver out of all things. So when the green-eyed monster, the red-eyed monster, the blue-eyed monster, the purple polka-dotted one, whichever one comes along and rears ugly head in your life, you must know that and know for yourself that God is your refuge and your strength. He's a very present help in your time of trouble. So this week, this month, no matter what comes along, if something comes along to just kind of shake you a little bit, okay, shake a little bit, but then grab hold to the hand of God and know that He is a very present help in your time of trouble. God bless you.